So much to get to, but we start with Jaylen Brown signing his 5-year, $304 million supermax extension. Jaylen and the Celtics announcing the deal at MIT, the site of the Bridge program, which is part of Jaylen's Juice Foundation. Our own Chris Forsberg caught up with Jaylen and asked him about staying in Boston.
What does Boston mean to you now? I mean, the first day you got drafted, you said, I'm going to go to war for this city. You've been out and about already this year, Dorchester last week. Like, what's your appreciation for Boston at this point?
I mean, it's home in a sense. You know, I've been here longer than in places that I've been my entire life. Right? I've been here for 8 years now and growing. So, you know, I'm a part of the community. You know, my family's a part of the community. So I'm a part of the solutions. You know, I just want to help. I just want to build. I just want to make the world a better place. And that's what I've been trying to do here.
Welcome into Arbella Early Edition with Trenni. Amina Smith filling in. Chris Forsberg, Tom Giles here with me. You heard Jaylen Brown. He inked that deal, 5 years, $304 million. And Forsberg, what really stood out to me during that press conference is the fact that Jaylen Brown, he has roots in the community. He's looking to be here long term. Just what was your biggest takeaway of him and, you know, just the fact that he wants to be here long term, and the narrative has always been that maybe Jaylen Brown doesn't want to stay in Boston too long.
I feel that's a Trenni thing, right? No, I'm not going to throw that all on her, but like it does feel like we've sort of been conflicted, right? So everyone loves Jason Tatum. He's got this unbelievable potential, and Jaylen's always that guy that sort of has to fight and be like in the trade rumors. And I do think this validation today and getting that contract, there's pressure that comes with it. He's ready for that. But it also sort of lays the foundation here. Like, he's part of this long term as long as the Celtics want him. And like, look, that's some bridge that they're going to have to cross down the road in terms of what is the right core of this team to take forward. But listening to Brad Stevens and Wyc Grousbeck and everybody glow about what Jaylen means to not only the team but the community, there is a chance here that this is sort of finally those roots that, you know, took 7 years and it's been a wild journey. But Jaylen could be home here at least until 2029.
And I think it's the community aspect of it, to me, Amina, that really speaks to the fact that Jaylen Brown wants to be here and wants to make a difference. You know, some guys talk about it. You're watching Jaylen Brown be about it and actually step up and take it into action. And it was great to see today, you know, doing that with the Bridge program over in Cambridge and, you know, having the kids there and his family there as well. It was kind of refreshing, but you clearly. And he said it right there. You clearly, he says he wants to be a part of it, but you're seeing it. You can see that he wants to make a change here. Yeah, and he talked about addressing the wealth gap in Boston as well and wanting to kind of integrate that money that he has, that $304 million. That is really life-changing, generational wealth, kind of pouring that back in to the Boston community. All right, the supermax extension took a lot longer than we all expected. Jaylen was asked to describe how those negotiations went. Let's take a listen.
I think it went great. I think a lot of time when you talk about a relationship that you have with individuals, you can just talk to them normally and direct, because I've known these guys for 7+ years. And a lot of times when, you know, financial stuff kind of gets into play, you know, it gets a little bit, you know, more sensitive or et cetera. But I thought from my standpoint, you know, they understood where I came from. They understood where we came from. And it was all about just meeting in a place where it made sense for everybody. And I'm glad that we were able to finish it.
We've talked about this over and over and over again, just how long the deal had taken for Jaylen Brown to actually sign on the dotted line. But Forsberg, how did this work out in favor of both parties?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He had a line in there where he said something like, you know, I think we all wish it could have happened a little quicker. Yeah, us chief among them having to recycle this on the program like 20 times. But, you know, essentially I feel like there wasn't a ton of urgency. They all knew it was going to get to this point. And you saw that by both sides giving a little something at the finish line. And so Jaylen gives up that 5th-year player options. The Celtics now can better plan for the future and know that there is a chance this player will be here through that 29 season. Jaylen gets the trade bonus where if there is a cap spike down the road or if for whatever reason they decide to trade him, he has a little bit more control over potentially deciding his destination or whether at least he'd waive it to be on board with wherever he went. And so I just think they got to a spot where they understood it's a lot of money. It's the right move for both sides. So once it's so funny, I keep using the word bridge, but in the Bridge program today, but like once they crossed that bridge, it was time. It was just like, this was the sort of culmination, the moment. And for me, I go back to it. It's a celebration of a player that was no slam dunk to be number 3 in that 2016 draft, has worked his tail off every single year to prove himself and be an all-NBA player, and today felt like a little bit of a celebration. I kept telling you, Giles, like, I felt like they were waiting for a moment for him to be in the spotlight. It's not about Lillard. It's not about, like, trades. Today was just about Jaylen.
It was just about Jaylen, and I found his answer there. You know, he said it was great, and I think that does speak to the fact that he got what he wanted out of the deal, and I think the Celtics and you know, seeing ownership there and everyone else feel the same way. You know, I think that was reflected in Wick's comments and Steve Pagliuca's comments as well. I also, you know, they referenced kind of that Sunday seemed to be the day, right?
Yeah.
They referenced Sunday a couple of times too, so. It felt like the deal maybe was pretty much done Sunday, and then it doesn't get announced until Tuesday. And I think that just kind of speaks to, you know, just making sure that everything's set perfectly before. And it also speaks to the fact that both sides were comfortable, you know, waiting just a couple extra days as they were waiting an extra 25 days.
Yeah, it also feels like Jaylen Brown wanted some security with this deal as well. It's like, just like we mentioned at the top of the show, wanting to be a part of this community and making sure that his contract also reflected that. All right, Jaylen was also asked about the change the C's have made this offseason in the pursuit of Banner 18.
Excited to get started with the journey as well. I think what Kristaps can bring to us defensively, in addition some of our other guys can bring to us defensively, I want to make sure that's where we hang our hats this year, you know, and that starts with me, that starts with Jason, that starts with guys, Rob, you know, with Marcus gone, you know, we don't want our defensive identity to go out the door as well. So we got to really emphasize that at the start of training camp.
Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla and also president of basketball operations Brad Stevens, they made it clear a couple weeks ago that the focus going into 2023-2024 will be that three-point shot, Forsberg. And then you hear Jaylen Brown talk about defense. Is everybody on the same page here?
I think they are. And it was funny because Joe Mazzulla had a little side session afterward. And he goes, you know, we were the second-ranked defense in the NBA. And it is easy to forget. It just wasn't, and even Joe relented this, it wasn't as consistent as it needed to be, and especially in the biggest moments when they really needed to lean on it. And I like that Jaylen, when so much of our attention is always on ball handling and his offense and his scoring, is the first one to say, like, it needs to be on defense, especially with the guys that they've lost. I do think this is a huge storyline going into the season. How do you replace Smart? How do you replace what Grant gave you? It's nice that we're setting the tone early here. Celtics want to be more than just about the three-point shot, and I think everybody from Jaylen to Mazzulla, especially if he was listening up on that podium as Jaylen was saying that, is going to put a focus on defense and diversifying that and making sure that that can be something they can lean on in high-pressure situations.
I just don't want to be pulling my hair out, guys, during the season.
It's about habits in the regular season, right? How many times did Eddie Howe say that? You got to practice some of those habits in the regular season.
Makes me a little nervous. I want to see some defense.